Hello friends, good afternoon again and welcome in this online English lectures. Yesterday we tried to see what is the history of novel, history of English novel, in which we have especially seen the definition of novel, and at the same time we tried to find out the precondition as we have discussed what literature is. We have made a foundation skill to understand what novel, and then we have seen the qualities of literature, even the qualities of novel, and now today it is the time to go to the elements of novel. There are some elements which are interlinked with each other, without which novel cannot be understood. Novel can be characterized in such elements, and in this, number one is the theme. The theme of the novel, the theme of the story, the theme of most of the times. See what happens, friends. We go to the movie in theater. We spend some money. We spend some time even, and we watch that movie. And after that movie, when we come out from the theater, somebody meets us, and especially he asks the first question: what is the movie about? And what the tagline we tell about the movie, what the movie is about, that tagline especially is the theme of the movie. Theme means the moral, theme means the message, theme means, in simple words, theme means the central idea. Theme is the central idea of the novel. Of course, it is called as the philosophical statement or a truth of the story. Theme is the philosophical statement. The tagline, what I say, the central idea, as even it can be called as the series of events. The series of events in the story can be called the theme even. So what is the theme? Theme is basically the message we get, the moral we get from what the story we read, what the novel we read, what the movie we watch, or anything. When we come to the conclusion that this is about this, we come to one statement, one line statement, and that becomes the theme of. So if we take the example of what yesterday we have seen, we have taken one example of Salman Rushdie, an Indian novelist, one who wrote The Midnight Children. Especially he tried to talk about how India and Pakistan were divided. India was divided into two, and that was about India and Pakistan. What is the novel about, if anybody asks? And of course, we reach to one word, and that one word is partition. Partition. Partition is the theme of The Midnight Children. So partition is the central idea of what we call as the theme of the novel. The first element, I think this is the very important element of the novel. Why? Why so? Because yes, the theme takes the readers to the central idea. The theme takes us, the readers, to what we say, the message, or what we call as the moral of the story. So the first one, as we have seen, is the theme of the novel. Have you understood what the theme is? Now it is the time to reach to the second one, and the second element of the novel is plot. Plot is nothing but the story of the novel. From this story we get the theme, the story, the course of events, the series of events by which we understand the complete story. So plot is nothing but the story of the novel. And that story always has some kind of conflict, some kind of struggle. And that struggle is internal and external struggle. So that that story is all about internal and external struggle of the characters, and that struggle is described or narrated in the theme, in the character called plot. And so that plot can be simple and complex. Some stories, some novels have one story, one plot. Some novels have multi-plots, multi-stories. Means one story has some sub-stories in it. Some main character has some other characters for his help, for her help, and so they just try to make sub stories, subplots in it, and that is why simple plot and the complex plot. Simple plot means the story has one story, the novel has one story, and the complex plot means the story has more than one plots, more than one story. So that is all about what the plot is. Plot is nothing but the story. In simple words, plot is the story. The third one is very important, characters. Characters of novels. If there are no characters, there won't be any story. There won't be, if there are no characters, there won't be any drama. Last year we have seen. If there are no characters on the stage, that cannot be called drama. In the same way, if there are no characters in the story, in the novel, of course, that cannot be the story. So characters, they are the actors actually. They play different actions, they make different actions, and these actions are read by us. We do not read the actions actually, we read their behaviors. Characters in which we have to understand the behavior of the characters. And so, of course, these characters are divided into major characters and minor characters. Major characters and minor characters, these are the two ideas we can understand from characters. There is even one protagonist and antagonist. Protagonist is, of course, the main character, central character, one who behaves good. Antagonist always oppose what good is. So antagonist is the villainous character and the protagonist is the heroic character. And so major and minor and plus protagonist and antagonist. So these are types of the characters we can see. Those who play different actions, and these actions and the behaviors are read by us in the form of the story or in the form of the novel. The characters can be divided into one more important part, and that is the round characters and the flat characters. What the round character is? Round character is a character who get changed time to time. Who changes his behavior, who changes his ideas, who changes his thoughts, and the flat character doesn't. So can you understand who can be the round character in the story, whether the protagonist or the antagonist? And of course, yes, the round character is the protagonist, one who plays the major role, one who plays the role of the hero or the heroine, who change their thoughts. In the same way, if we take the example of any villains, they do not change their thoughts. They are fixed. They are stick to their thoughts. They are stick to their ideas. So they don't get changed in any situation. Those who do not change, they are the flat characters, and those who get changed time to time, they are round characters. That is, I think, all about characters, in which especially we find the behaviors. Behaviors in different forms. Behaviors in the form of protagonist, behavior in the form of antagonist, and at the same time behavior in the form of round character and behavior in the form of flat character. Thus next comes, I think, one more important element of the novel, and that is the setting. Setting plays an important role, even if it is the poetry, even if it is the drama, or especially when it is a novel. Means setting is characters and setting, theme. These are the main things in literature. Without this, literature cannot be. Setting, what is setting now? Setting is nothing but a background. Background of the theme, background of the story, background of the characters. So that background is especially described. If I tell one example, the novel written by Khushwant Singh, the another novel on the theme of partition, that is Train to Pakistan, in which the village, the border village, Mano Majra, is described. And the writer has taken much efforts to describe what the novel, what the village is. And he has spent some 10 to 15 pages to describe what Mano Majra is. So you can understand how he has given an importance to describe the setting. Setting, again, does not mean what the place is. Setting even means the period in which it is written, the period in which the story is written, the period in which the novelist lived. If we are talking about 16th century, if we take the example of any novelist from 16th century, of course, he wrote about 16th century contemporary situations. In the same way, period is considered as one of the important background for setting. At the same time, time is to be considered. In which time, at what time, in which period it was written, climate or weather, and the lifestyle. All those are the minor characteristics which we have to find out what the setting is. The first one is place. As I'm repeating it, place is the first thing is to be considered in setting. Second is period. Of course, as I referred, Train to Pakistan, that was written at the time of freedom struggle of India. So, of course, it was written after, 1947. So, what was the condition of that time? What was the condition of the society? Yes, of course, there were refugees all over India. And at that time, that story was written. So, that period, that time, what was the climate? In Mano Majra, when the train came from Pakistan, the train came with full dead bodies of the refugees. Of course, the dead bodies were thrown into the river, and the dead bodies were, drowned into the water. Means the river was full of water. Of course, that was the rainy season then. So we have to find out what were the conditions at that time, and so climate or weather even takes the important part in understanding what setting of the novel is. And at the same time, there is one more thing, and that is lifestyle. What was the lifestyle? In Mano Majra, as I have taken this example today for discussion, Mano Majra, in which that Jagga was the protagonist. Of course, though he was a protagonist, he was a kind of robber in the village. He was considered as a villainous character in the village. What was his lifestyle? That he used to rob. So that was his lifestyle. But at last, he helped the train to go safely from India to Pakistan. So see the change in his mind. Even take the example of what round character and flat character. He was a round character. He changed his thoughts. He was bad, and he changed himself from bad to good. So, and what was his behavior? What was his lifestyle? That is to be considered in setting even. So this is also one of the important points in understanding the elements of novel. Next one is conflict. Conflict of the story, conflict of the novel, and conflict simply means the struggle between the opposite forces. And of course, the struggle in the story happens between the protagonist and the antagonist, and that struggle becomes one of the important elements of the novel, and that conflict provides interest and curiosity to us. Conflict provides interest and curiosity to the readers. Take the same example, Mano Majra, the same example, Train to Pakistan, in which in that village, Mano Majra, Jagga always had a conflict, the struggle with other villagers, because yes, the problems were there, problems in the society were there, and he didn't like what was happening in his village, and that's the reason that he, of course, he provided an interest and curiosity about what the novel is. And that's why conflict also plays an important role in understanding what the novel is, what the history of the novel is. And at the same time, one more element, the sixth element of the novel is language or style. As yesterday I have said that let there be any kind of literature, the linguistic comprehension helps us to understand it better. And this comes here in this element, language and style. Language, which language the writer has used, what kind of language he has used, what kind of techniques of narration he has used. Of course, language and techniques for narration of the course of events becomes the style of writing. becomes the style of writing. Yes, in every period, if we see the history of literature, in every period, the writers, the poets, and dramatists have changed their styles. And of course, it gets changed according to the time. And so, what kinds of vocabulary he has used, what kinds of high phrases he has used, what kinds of linguistic devices the person, the writer, the novelist has used, and of course, the style of language, the style of writing, wordings, yes, descriptions, narrations, all those come under what language and style is. And of course, it creates impression to the readers. Readers read the novel because of the writer has tried to play with the words, and that these words make the things more impressive, effective, and so the readers get curiosity. The readers get interest in reading all this. So this is how all these are the main elements of novel: theme, plot, character, setting, conflict, and style. Without understanding these 6 elements, we cannot understand, we cannot comprehend what the novel is. We cannot even criticize the novel. So just for the sake of the story, we can simply read it. We may not understand all this. But those who want to read the novel, not for the sake of the story, but for the sake of complete comprehension, must understand what are the elements of novel. So these are the important elements of the novel, of course. Now it is the time to turn to